Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookworm here, and well, today I wanted to both pay my respects to George Peterson, whom we found out just recently passed away unexpectedly, so my condolences to his family and friends. And yeah, this is yet another sad day for bodybuilding. Another warrior has fallen. In recent weeks and into the running of several bodybuilding championships around the world, we're hearing more and more of our athletes falling, specifically during prep time for an upcoming competition. Now, I do not wish to disrespect the family and friends of those that have recently passed. This video is one of concern, of major concern for our bodybuilding community, and should serve instead as a plea. And to be honest, I am starting to get a little bit upset with all of this. I'm starting to get a little bit mad. This is just getting to a point where, something needs to change. We need to get real for a minute and stop beating about the bush. I keep hearing the word healthy come up with all these mishaps. And as a medical professional, I can tell you that there is nothing healthy about the state of modern bodybuilding. Now, I just posted about this yesterday on Instagram after watching Nick's Strengths and Powers video on George Peterson's passing, and even he reposted some of my posts, so thank you, Nick. Now, I was recently posting about this topic just a week or so ago after the Arnold Classic, when many of the legends such as Robbie Robinson, Barry DeMay, and of course Arnold Schwarzenegger had also expressed their concerns over the direction the sport has taken. Here is Arnold's most recent warning specifically about promoting classic bodybuilding over open bodybuilding due to the extreme drug practices these athletes undergo before competing.
And also, let's not forget, they don't have to take all of this stuff that some of the other guys are taking to be bigger, and this is, I think, where the danger is, because in our sport, in the most dangerous sports in the world, you have 4 guys, like in MMA fighters, 4 guys died over the last 10 years. In bodybuilding, you had 14 guys die over the last 10 years. So it just shows you how dangerous it is to take some of those medications and substances that those guys take. And so I just think this is where the action is, right here, what we see in front of us.
Now, Greg Doucette also created a video response to Arnold's suggestion, and Greg put it beautifully in his video when he stated the pure and honest truth, that there is nothing healthy about modern bodybuilding, echoing Arnold's comments. Although many of them were labeled as haters, and I'll probably be labeled as a hater too, but you know what? To me, life is more important. The point is, we need to listen and wake up if we want to save the future of our sport. Modern bodybuilding is at a crossroads, and it has been for a while now. And if we look retrospectively at the past, we can see that many events have led to this point in the sport, which is quite a sad state of affairs. We have been warned again and again, and the signs have been there year after year. How many of our warriors must pass? How many of them must fall, before something is done? Before we see a change, a positive change in our sport. This year, we have lost many bodybuilders, and in previous years, we have lost the likes of Rich Piana and Dallas McCarver, just to name a couple, to what appears to be similar reasons. Year after year, we're seeing our warriors collapse on stage or die in preparation, or shortly after competition, one of the two, due to the extreme practices our athletes take to be in the extreme condition that they present themselves on stage. So I ask, how can this sport be labeled as healthy when so many of our athletes are dying? Nick posed a very important question yesterday in one of his videos, asking the audience what we thought the solution was to the current situation modern bodybuilding finds itself in. Several suggestions, of course, have come up, ranging from legalizing certain PEDs, changing the judging criteria, and also to the suggestions of mandatory drug testing at events, which, of course, I'm a high proponent of it. That's what I would like to see. The range of solutions Of course, all the range of solutions all point to the one common factor, which is PEDs. And this dependency on PEDs in modern bodybuilding truly is the issue that now needs to be dealt with. I posted my response yesterday, and I would like to repeat this here once again and ask, does size and conditioning have to take precedence over human life? Are these factors so important? And is this the risk that our athletes need to accept? Is this the cost and price for victory and for our selfish entertainment? I mean, I don't really think so. And excuse me for getting upset, but this just happens all the time and it needs to be addressed. And yeah, I want to voice at least my opinion for those that wish to listen. I tell you what I think. I think that we need to take a step backwards. I wrote to Nick yesterday expressing my concern, and just like everyone else, I'm a bodybuilding fan. I'm passionate about it. I love bodybuilding, and I have ever since I can remember. But in order to see our sport progress, to see it move forward, sometimes we need to look at the past to move forward. These words come from one of the greatest geniuses of our time. That is Albert Einstein. And Einstein was correct. We must learn from our mistakes to progress, otherwise we will continue to see more and more of our warriors fall. Now, speaking of the past, this is no different to the 90s, when we saw the death of Nazer El Sonbati, Mohamed Benaziza, and Andreas Munzer, not to mention Mike Matarazzo. And speaking and looking at the past, Mike Matarazzo, stated prior to his untimely death the following, to quote Mike Matarazzo: "I'd have to say that everything that led to my heart problem began the minute I started getting serious about competitive bodybuilding." He stated this: "In order to get bigger, I ate 5, 6, 7 pounds of red meat a day, no vegetables, and I'd stay away from fruits because of their sugar. Worst were the chemicals." We're talking about all the PEDs here. "I have no doubt in my mind that the primary cause of my problem was the chemicals. It was the steroids, the growth hormones, the diuretics. I wouldn't in a million years change a lot of the aspects of bodybuilding. But that's the one aspect I'd discontinue if I had a second chance." He was then asked, what should those who still have a second chance do about it? Mike responded the following: "Put the drugs away. Only a handful of men on this entire planet make barely a decent living in bodybuilding. I happen to be one who did for 15 years, but I probably took 20 years of my life. No amount of money in the world is worth that. I'd rather go back in time and get a 9-to-5 job and live to a ripe old age like my grandfather. I took the gamble and lost in every way." End quote. Now, Mike died at the age of 48 and left a legacy and a warning in these words. But the powers that be, that reward all the bodybuilders for increasing size and ever increasing conditioning, have set up a trend that is causing more and more deaths in our game. John Ballack, publisher emeritus of Iron Man magazine and legendary bodybuilding photographer, who was also Arnold's seminar nutritionist, wrote and warned us years ago in his publication, this publication right here, titled Anabolic Steroids, that both thyroids and diuretics were extremely dangerous and toxic to the athlete. And it is this practice of ever-increasing conditioning that many believe, including myself, is to blame for the health complications that lead to the sudden death of our athletes in the sport. Finally, I don't know if any of you have this book, but looking at John D. Fair's book, Mr. America, The Tragic History of a Bodybuilding Icon, on page 354, we see the age of death of Mr. America winners since the beginnings of this competition in 1938, and the age declines over time. That's the age of death. And specifically, the age of death declines with the advent of PEDs in the sport of bodybuilding. I just want to leave by stating this. Bodybuilding used to be about health and longevity, about having a life full of possibilities, but now the sport has become something that is not a reflection of this at all. We need to stop pretending. If we really do care about our heroes and the champions of this sport, about the family and friends that are affected and that suffer from their untimely deaths, then we should have the decency of looking at this problem honestly, straight in the face, and stop BSing around. Otherwise, their deaths mean nothing. We need to take a step back. And I'm not trying to say that we should go 100% natural, because as much as I hate to admit it, it's unrealistic. But a step backwards in this case will most likely be a step in the right direction. Rest in peace, George Peterson. You were not just a great champion, but a humble and genuine soul. Many are grieving. May your passing serve as a warning and as a lesson to everyone. In the sport, life is precious and it needs to be respected. My condolences to your family and your friends. That is all I have to say at this point. Please share this important message. This is the Golden Era Bookworm saying bye for now.